How do I eliminate wrist pain in my yoga practice? I don't know about you, but when I first started practicing yoga and arm balances and plank pose, my wrists would hurt so much. There were entire weeks where I would get on my mat and immediately I'd have to stop and do one of these. And then again, I'd have to stop and do one of these, and it was completely unsustainable. I ended up practicing yoga on my fists, on my forearms, and just constantly like trying to get off of my wrists. I know I'm not the only one. This video is for you if you struggle with wrist pain in your yoga practice. So here's the thing. First of all, we have a tendency to think that wrist pain is because weak wrists. False. Yeah, it's due to weak something, but not wrists. Inside our wrists, we really have ligaments and tendons, very few muscles. The muscles that support your wrists are found in, drum roll please, your forearms. So do this with me. Grab your forearm firmly, yeah? And then open your hand and close your hand. Open, close. And I want you to feel for the movement of the muscles of the forearms underneath this hand. Yeah, and if you can't feel it, kind of move your hand and pinch your forearm until you feel the muscles fire. Right? You feel that opening and closing your hand is actually coming from here, not from your wrist, right? You can also hold your wrist and do it. You probably won't feel a whole lot of muscles firing. You'll feel that the muscles that are firing are higher up. So that's one thing, right? It's our forearms that we need to deal with, not so much our wrists. The second thing is your hands actually take pressure out of your wrists if you use them properly. So in this video, we're going to look at two different things: how to engage our hands so that they don't hurt, and what to do about tight forearms that might be causing pain in your wrists. So first things first, there is a technique for hand engagement that is honestly not taught in many yoga classes at all, sad face, called Hasta Bandha. Bandha is an energetic lock. We have Mula Bandha, we have Uddiyana Bandha, we have Jalandhara Bandha, and we also have Hasta Bandha, and also Pada Bandha. Hasta means hands. So this is your hand lock. And think of this as lifting energy up away from the floor rather than dumping all of your body weight into your hands. The majority of the time when our wrists hurt, it's because we're dumping all of our body weight into our hands. What does that even mean? All right. So you're going to come with me onto your mat and place your hands shoulders apart underneath your shoulders. And the first thing I want you to focus on is spreading your fingers wide like jazz hands. None of this lazy hand business, but like jazz hands. Yes, I'm a musical theater geek, so jazz hands are my fave. Yeah. Spread your fingers wide and then grip your fingertips into the mat. Yeah. And when you grip, you'll notice that the weight gets transferred into your fingertips and away from the heel of your hand. Yeah, so do that a couple of times. On all fours, grip your fingers into the mat like you're a little cat and you claw nail marks into the rubber and then release. And let the weight go to the heels of your hands. Do that again. Grip your fingers. Notice how the weight is distributed away from the heel of the hand, and then release the grip and let the weight come back to the heel of the hand. One more time. Grip, experience the difference, and then release the grip. All right, so the first thing we want to do is grip the mat. A way to think about this, if you've ever played basketball and you try to pick up a basketball with one hand, we have to like grab it. You're grabbing the mat as if you want to pick up the yoga mat from the floor. Okay, so grabbing the mat. The next thing we need to think about is imagine your hand is like a suction cup, sucking energy up out of the floor. My favorite way to think about this, do you like boba? I love boba. If you don't know what boba is, they're these little like tapioca balls that they put inside these drinks, and they give you a big fat straw and you suck it up and all the little boba balls come in your mouth. So satisfying. But sometimes the boba gets stuck and you have to suck really hard to get it out. Okay, so I want you to imagine your arm is a boba straw. If you don't know boba, your arm is a milkshake straw. If you're vegan, it's a vegan milkshake, okay? This is a straw, and your job is to suck energy or your milkshake or your boba out of the floor and up through the straws of your arms. So I want you to visualize in your mind a sensation of upward lift, right? When you do it, it might even feel like the center of your hands want to lift up. Yeah, we don't want to let the center of the hands lift. We want to grip the fingertips into the floor, but mentally in your mind's eye, think pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up. Yeah, and that in and of itself is also going to reduce weight on your hands. You have the ability to just rest on yourself, and you have the ability to lift up away from yourself. That's what we're going for here. Lift up away from yourself. All right. So we talked finger grip. We talked upward lift of energy through your arms. This you get to do every single time your hands are on the floor, forever and always. Yeah. So plank pose, same thing. Grip. Suck the energy up. Down dog. Grip. Suck the energy up. Tabletop. Grip. Suck the energy up. Secretly, if you ever want to learn arm balances, that finger grip is where your balance comes from, not your core and not anything else. Yeah, the fingers are instrumental. So if you have not been using your fingers and your wrists hurt, give that a try. Now, I'll pause here and say, some of us are working with actual medical conditions, carpal tunnel syndrome, actual wrist injuries. This may not help a wrist injury. It may allow you to practice with less discomfort, but if you have an actual injury, deal with that first before you put a whole lot of weight on your hands. So this is kind of for the healthy wrist that's just in pain from yoga. It happens. Yeah. The next thing I want to tell you is, what do we do if that kind of helps, but like not really? Like it helps a little, but it still hurts. What do you notice about my hands on the floor here? You'll notice that I have a 90-degree angle of extension at the wrist. This is a pretty big angle of extension. Most of us spend our lives typing, phoning, driving. Our wrists are in flexion a lot of the time and not in extension. So now we're asking our wrists to go into extension and to bear our entire body weight. So sometimes it can feel really relieving to bend the wrist less. Yeah. So notice when I lift the heel of my hand, do you see how this is no longer 90 degrees? It's probably like 120 degrees. It's a bigger angle. It's less taxing on the front of my wrist. So how do we do that? They make really cool wedges out of like foam, out of the same yoga block material. They make special wedges just for this purpose that you can buy at yoga stores. I tend to just use a towel, okay? You can use a small folded towel. You don't want to fold it a whole lot, but just enough so it gives you 1 inch or 2 inches, if you're in centimeters, up to 5 centimeters of lift, okay? And you're going to put that underneath your hands. This particular towel is too short for both of my hands to be on it, but just for demonstration purposes, I'll show you. So notice here I have 90 degrees of wrist extension. When I put the heel of my hand on the towel, do you see how I have less than 90 degrees now? Now, what I want you to know and be clear on is you're not putting the whole hand. If you put the whole hand, we've accomplished nothing. You've recreated 90 degrees. You've just lifted it up off the floor. So your fingers are still going to be on the floor. We've just elevated the heel of your hand. And then you can try your plank pose or your down dog from here. The work is the same, my friend. Grip the fingers into the mat and find that upward lift of energy through your palms and through your arms, right? Even if you use the wedge, it doesn't mean you throw the rest of the engagement out the window. Your fingers are still super, super active, okay? This is going to change your yoga practice forever. It did for me, and it does for pretty much all of my students. Now, if you're like, okay, Nat, that was nice, but like, my shit still hurts. So there's a very cool thing that we need to know about the human body is that everything is connected. And nothing ever works in isolation, right? If your wrists hurt and engaging your hands, what I didn't talk about is a wrist warm up. You should also be warming up your wrists, and that'll be for a different video. But if you're not engaging your hands, that's going to cause an issue. But sometimes we do engage and it still hurts, right? And that could be because we have something else to deal with further up the chain. Usually, generalization, okay? Those of you who are physical therapists, don't come at me. I'm generalizing. When we have pain in a particular joint and we don't have an actual medically diagnosed injury, the best thing to do is to look further up. Look at the next joint up. If you don't find pain or anything there, look at the next joint up. Wrist pain often comes from the chest, from armpit muscles, from shoulder muscles, or further down the chain from forearm muscles. We're not going to get into the chest and the shoulder in this video, but we are going to get into the forearms. So this is a super, super cool little massage technique that you can do. First, grab a hold of your forearm and turn your hand up like you want to karate chop. Yeah, and when you karate chop, you'll notice there's like this bulbous muscle here called the brachioradialis. And what I want you to do is take your thumb and push into that muscle and just start to kind of poke it firmly and look for an area that makes you go, oh my God, that hurts. Look for pain, okay? So yes, you're giving yourself pain on purpose, but if you feel pain when you push, that means you have a trigger point in the fascia or the muscles of your forearm that's radiating pain down to your wrist. And if you fix that, your wrists will feel better, okay? So dig around. If you find a spot where you push, it's sore, breathe, yeah. A cool thing that you can do is also open and close your hand as you push, and you'll feel the muscle resisting against your thumb. Do this until it doesn't hurt anymore. For some people, it's 10 seconds. For some people, it's 30. For some people, it's 5 entire minutes. Yeah, but when you find a spot that hurts, push on it until it releases. If you have a lot of trigger points in your forearms, it might not all release in one session. You'll need to do this a few times, okay? And once you've got that, you can be like, oh, okay, that felt better, right? You can also look down here, okay? Go to the outer bone of your elbow, okay? About 2 fingers in front of it, straighten your arm. You're gonna have another muscle right there. That's a culprit for wrist pain. So start to push into the inside of your forearm, and same thing. Close your fist and open your fist. And when you close your fist is when you'll feel this one fire. Yeah, for me, I just did that and I felt it in my neck. If that happens to you and you're like, oh my God, I feel it in my toe, I feel it in my neck, I feel it in the side of my face, that's what happens with trigger points. You feel them all the way up the chain of the body, and that's totally normal, and it means good news. If you feel something release somewhere else, you're having an impact on this part of your body. Yeah, so do that a few times until you feel it release. And then you can let that go and shake it out. There are way more forearm muscles that we can get into. I'm not going to get into the rest of them today just because I want to keep this short. But if you're into this and you're like, okay, this makes sense to me, what we did right now already helped. I have a mini course called Unfuck Your Wrists. It's linked in the description below. And it's like 16 or 20 videos where we go step by step into everything you need to know about relieving your wrist pain in your yoga practice and learning how to engage and warm up your wrists properly. So to recap everything we said, if you have wrist pain, chances are you're not engaging your hands properly, assuming you don't have an injury, okay? So first thing is engage your hands. Jazz hands, grip the fingers into the floor, and find this upward lift of energy. Don't worry about what your knuckles look like. You might have heard your yoga teacher say, don't let your middle knuckles lift. Yeah, I don't buy that. Grip with your fingertips, let your middle knuckles do whatever they're gonna do. What's more important is to feel connected to the floor and really grabbing your mat. That's what's gonna keep you out of wrist pain, rather than like having your knuckles perfectly on the mat, which really doesn't matter. Okay, so grip, pull up, and if that still hurts, work with your fascia and your muscles. Find your forearms, start to dig around where you find pain, breathe into it, open and close your hand a few times until the pain dissipates, and then move on to another spot. You do not need to experience wrist pain in your yoga practice forever. There are ways to fix it. I would love to support you. If you want more support with this, check out the description below. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.